poverty rate in the world, and that problem reaches all corners of Manitoba. Now the federal government wants to initiate a relief program, but not everyone agrees on how to do it or who really needs it. Cameron McIntosh explains.
Dealing with poverty, it's a daily routine for the more than 80 people who get lunch at this Brandon soup kitchen, a quarter of which are children.
In Brandon, people don't see child poverty because we don't have any ragged beggars in the street. But if you take a close look at them, you'll see that they are inappropriately dressed for the weather. Either a thin jacket, 20 below, shoes instead of boots, no mittens or no toque. Those are the ones that concern us most.
According to Stats Canada, 1 in 5 or 1.5 million children live in poverty. That's second in the world only to the United States. Since 1989, the number of Canadian families on welfare has jumped more than 66%. And in order to reach the poverty line, single Canadian parents with one child have to work more than 73 hours a week. Western Manitoba Child and Family Services Executive Director Kenneth Knight says Brandon fits right into those numbers.
I certainly have no reason to believe that overall the Westman figures would be much different than the provincial or national average.
The federal government is trying to reduce the number of children in line at soup kitchens by asking the provinces to help fund a $3 billion relief program. However, the city of Brandon, which provides assistance to more than 200 families, says the government is taking the wrong approach.
The choices made by the parents result in the children paying a price. No amount of legislation or financial programs, federally or otherwise, will solve all of those, because all we do is continue to add crutches to society.
A national program to eliminate child poverty was first proposed by the Mulroney government in the early 1990s. They wanted to get rid of it before the year 2000. Last week, Human Resources Minister Pierre Pettigrew met with the provinces to try to set some similar goals. But many of the provinces walked away reluctant to throw any money into a new program. Now the federal government is hoping some of those attitudes will change before they sit down with the provinces again next month. In Brandon, Cameron McIntosh, Pulse News.
Members of Manitoba's Aboriginal youth want more Natives involved in the justice system. At least that's one of the findings from the Aboriginal Youth Justice Report released today. 400 youths took part in a symposium last month to come up with new ideas for the way the justice system deals with Natives. While some want to see their own justice system set up, most just want to have more Native lawyers and more cultural sensitivity when dealing with Native young offenders.
They really stress rehabilitation and healing as opposed to punishment. Punishment they look at as something else to retaliate against, rather than having their own elders present in the justice system.
And the Manitoba Aboriginal AIDS Task Force has announced a new study on AIDS amongst the Aboriginal community in Winnipeg. Focus groups will be developed to work with high-risk Natives. The groups will try to determine their level of knowledge of HIV and AIDS, attitudes towards AIDS, and what influences risk-taking behavior. From the information gathered, a program curriculum for Aboriginal youth and peer counseling on AIDS will be developed.
Of the official statistics, there are supposedly 176 Aboriginal AIDS cases in Canada, 9 of which would be here in Manitoba. Yet we know from the work that we do in the community that that number is in the 20s, if not 30 people that we know of who are positive and symptomatic of AIDS. So the stats do not even reflect what is happening now.
Well, with all the federal MPs the Reform Party has been losing lately, it's surprising to hear a local politician wants to hang his hat with reform. But that's exactly what the mayor of Dauphin is doing. Inky Marks was chosen in a nomination meeting on Saturday to run in the riding of Dauphin-Swan River. Marks promised if elected, he would give his constituents the right to fire him if they're unhappy with his representation. And here's a good place to hang your hat if you're worried about safety, the town of Boulder. It's being dubbed Manitoba's crime-free zone. Mounties say it's the safest town in North America. Boulder's Crime Watch coordinator says the town of 350 has a 0% crime rate in terms of burglaries. That's thanks to the 60-odd members of the local Crime Watch who take shifts watching the streets at night. And bad news for those of us who refuse or forget to pay traffic fines. The Manitoba government is turning to collection agencies to crack down on those who don't pay their fines. For people like these who get parking tickets, speeding tickets, or any other traffic violation will now be forced to pay. Manitoba's Court Services says a computer system will soon be in place to send all outstanding traffic fines to collection agencies. Manitoba has won the right to challenge Ottawa's gun control law. At issue is whether the federal government has the right to impose firearms licensing on lower levels of government. The landmark challenge will begin sometime this spring. Manitoba joins Alberta, Ontario, and the Yukon in arguing the gun registry is too expensive and there's no proof it will reduce crime. But supporters of the gun registry say it will help reduce the number of gun-related deaths. Several legal hurdles must be cleared before the trial begins. And the Tory convention is over for another year. It was held in Brandon this past weekend. And despite being raked over the coals last week, Premier Gary Filmon and his cabinet received a very warm reception. The government was upbeat and optimistic, and that pleased the 500 delegates in attendance. Cameron McIntosh now on whether the Premier can convince the rest of us we're doing as well.
Warm receptions have been few and far between lately for Gary Filmon, but this weekend the Premier was welcomed with open arms at the Manitoba Progressive Conservative annual meeting in Brandon, a meeting he used to bolster the spirits of the party faithful.
We could do anything world-class from right here in Manitoba.
Highlighting a plan for the year 2000, Filmon emphasized his government's financial record and defended recent caucus actions such as pushing 76 bills through the legislature and privatizing MTS. All the while, delegates ate it up.
I don't believe there's any question about the direction that they're taking in the communications field.
The unity has never been higher in the party. I wish every Manitoban could come and see everyone's just riding on such a high right now.
Facing a fierce public backlash over issues such as MTS, Filmon now has to hope that the confidence of his party spills over to the public.
We'll continue to give this message. It's a positive message. It's a message of confidence, optimism, a message of growth and opportunity. And it's a good message, and you'll see it in the media because it's real. It's what's happening.
After a rough ride through the fall session of the legislature, this general meeting comes at just the right time for the Filmon government. Reassurances from delegates here should give the caucus a lot of confidence as they prepare for what will most likely be a very hostile session in the spring. In Brandon, Cameron McIntosh, Pulse News.
And in other news tonight, it's a first-of-its-kind futures contract. And if successful, wheat farmers in Western Canada may soon have more income security. The Winnipeg Commodity is exploring a contract for North American durum wheat with the Minneapolis Grain Exchange. It would be the first durum futures contract in the world. The goal is to produce a contract that tackles the problem of price transparency, discovery, and hedging. Future contracts, which ensure delivery of grain for a later date, are already available for other types of wheat. Well, it looks like school just became better for agriculture students at the University of Manitoba. A new building provides them with better facilities for learning. Here's a look at the official opening.
We were delighted to be able to participate in a very significant way. I think you acknowledge, Dean, particularly the last $2.25 million that kind of helped ensure that we are at this stage in the refreshing, new and exciting facilities here on campus.
Does this make a better experience for a student?
By far. Up to this point, we've been dealing with labs that were getting old, as well as going to other parts of the faculty or parts of the university in order to get to our labs. Right now, we can be within our faculty with brand new high-tech equipment and learn the newest trends within the agriculture industry.
This is the William R. Newman Information Library Resource.
But I gather the idea here is there's no books.
Right. It is an automated library. We have approximately 30 computers, and the trend will be towards access to information on computer.
Right now, this is just one of my courses is a soil science project that's due today. And I mean, without the Without the added space in these labs, I couldn't get this done.
And coming up on Pulse News at 6, there's more white stuff on the way. Ron will have weather details. And the Wheat Kings bomb the Raiders. Sean will have highlights in sports. But up next, how to buy shares into MTS.
Pulse News, sponsored by Bayes Equipment, your Neepawa New Holland Center for quality parts, sales, and service.
What's wrong?
Mommy, Teddy's hurt.
Oh, don't cry.
A bathroom tissue soft enough for your child's tender face?
Toilet paper.
It's soft. See? Here, I can fix them.
It's Royale bathroom tissue. So kitteny soft, it could be facial tissue.
Look, Teddy's all better.
Thanks, Mom.
Royale bathroom tissue. So soft, it could be facial tissue.
I couldn't believe it. My dentist said, Ted, you've got tartar. I said, but I brush. I even rinse and floss. And still my teeth aren't clean? She said, Ted, all that's great, but to fight tartar better, you can't brush with regular toothpaste. Use the right toothpaste, a tartar-fighting one.
Even if you rinse and floss, if you don't use a tartar-fighting toothpaste for your tartar problem, your teeth aren't as clean as they could be. Brush with Crest Freshman to fight tartar.
I used tartar-fighting Crest, and my next visit was great.
Tartar and cavity-fighting Crest.
Now that's something to smile about.
Some people have an uncanny ability, sort of a sixth sense. They know when something big is on the way, long before it arrives, taking the land by storm. So when the new 97 Ford F-150 XLS with chrome wheels, two-tone paint, 60/40 split bench arrived at the local Ford and Mercury dealer loaded for $249 a month, nobody was surprised the very first one went to Jess Potter.
You're watching Pulse News at 6.
Welcome back. Well, the rush is on right now to buy shares of MTS. Manitobans now have a first crack at purchasing the majority of common shares until it goes on sale nationally in December. Carolyn Curry now on the largest public share offering in Manitoba and what kind of deal it could be for you.
These are eligible for self-directed RRSPs.
How many shares can I buy? Where can I buy them? Is it a good deal? Hundreds of Manitobans use their telephones today, asking financial advisors how to get in on the new phone company.
This right now is a very good offer, I believe, for Manitobans. I think it has a lot that it can offer to people who make a educated decision on this, you know, and I think that's the key. They need to be talking to their financial advisors to determine whether or not it's going to actually fit in their plans.
So here's the deal. You can buy MTS shares for $7 down because of the Manitoba offer. Doing the math with the figures we have, you'll get a yield of 5% on shares costing the total $13.50. But if you factor in the Manitoba offer, your yield could effectively be 9%.
A Manitoba resident essentially has free leverage, and their effective first-year yield would be north of 9%.
What kind of deal is that in today's market?
That is a very, very good deal.
The majority of shares have been reserved for Manitobans. In fact, Manitoba ownership is predicted to end up as high as 70%. Oversubscription is expected, so there's no guarantee you'll be able to get your maximum 4,000 shares, but you won't be left out.
Every Manitoban who applies will get shares. Now, if it's oversubscribed, it'll be prorated back from the 4,000 shares that we've indicated as max. But nobody will be denied an opportunity if they apply.
Brokers tell us the biggest risk factor in buying MTS shares is interest rates. If they go up, it'll hurt your investment. Meanwhile, one of the players banking on getting about $500 million from the sale of their former investment is the provincial government. That money will go toward the Fiscal Stabilization Fund. In Winnipeg, Carolyn Curry, Pulse News.
And joining me now is Lauren Perovic, the manager from Nesbitt Burns. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you. It's nice to be here, Radine.
We just want to get into a little bit more detail, first of all, on the sale of MTS and who can buy shares. They're on sale now, as of today. And if someone's interested, we want to know how they can buy the shares and if it's worth it. So first of all, you already mentioned that, or it already said in the story, that anybody can buy shares. Where in Brandon and in Westman can we buy shares?
The shares are available at all the financial institutions in Brandon or in Manitoba. Traditionally, share offerings are normally done through the brokerage firms, but the government has gone to great lengths to ensure that every Manitoba has access to the applications. Therefore, individuals can go to trust companies or credit unions or banks and pick up an application and apply for the shares.
And anybody can buy shares?
The special offer that is for Manitoba residents, the $7 installment receipt, is available to all Manitobans who have social insurance numbers. Okay, now the government has come out kind of with an iffy number, $13.50 per share. Mm-hmm. Is that pretty much what it's going to be? The pricing of the full share is going to be between $12 and $13.50. Obviously, if it comes out at the low end of that range, it's that much more attractive to investors. But even at the $13.50 range, we feel there's good value there. So now people can't just go out and buy one share. There's a minimum and a maximum number of shares people can buy. What is that? The minimum shares is 25 that you can apply for. The maximum is 4,000. And the important thing, that, as was mentioned earlier, if you apply for 4,000 shares or even 2,000, that doesn't guarantee that that's the number of shares you're going to get. So the government will take in all the applications, weigh that off against the demand, against the available shares, and they'll probably prorate us back. So clearly we're going to be getting less than what we're asking for, I think. Really? You're anticipating a huge jump to buy these? Yes, there's going to be a big demand from what we understand, and certainly from the inquiries we've been having from our clients. Have you sold any yet? No, they're available for sale tomorrow. Tomorrow. So we have a lot of clients that are interested, and but tomorrow is when they're going to be available for sale. So I guess, excuse me, the next question is it a good investment? It depends on the individual. I think every person has to assess it as for what it is, and this is ownership in a company. It's common stock ownership, so each individual has to look at their own risk tolerances as it pertains to owning common shares, and whether or not it fits into their portfolio as their overall investment strategy. They have to determine that. So that would be the first thing to look at. The other thing, as was mentioned, the yield, particularly for us in Manitoba, is extremely attractive in the first year. Based on the $7 share price for the first year and the dividend that's going to be paid, you're going to be looking at something like a 9.7% dividend yield. But this isn't a guaranteed dividend. It's the expected dividend come April 1st of next year. Is that right? That's right. And and that's the inherent risk in owning common stock. Dividends aren't guaranteed, but it's not in companies' best interest to reduce or eliminate dividends. So we very, very seldom see that, particularly in the utility sector or the telephone sector. It's not a common thing at all. So we feel quite comfortable with the dividend. Now, how can people pay for their shares? So they have to come in, if they want to buy shares tomorrow, 25 shares, which is going to cost them about $350. Yes. They come in tomorrow and say, I want to buy 25 shares. Do they have to pay up front, cash? No, we, in our business, we have a high degree of trust with our clients, as they do with us as advisors. So we would be putting in an application on our client's behalf with the understanding that on January 7th, 1997, they would come in with the first payment. The second payment for the shares would come a year later, January 7th, 1998. So clients or individuals could put in an application for the shares once they know how many shares they are allotted. They don't have to pay for them till January 7th. Okay, and about 30
seconds left. I just want to know what you think. It's kind of forecasting the future, which is always impossible to do. But what do you think about the future of MTS? Is it going to become a steady, long-term, stable stock, do you think?
It's a little bit premature to comment on that. Being a new company, there hasn't been a tremendous amount of analytical work done on the new MTS or Manitoba Telecom Services Company. So over the next weeks or months, I'm sure that we're going to have a lot better look and see what the long-term prospects are for the company.
Great, Mr. Probert, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Stories from off the ice are coming up next. Justin Kurtz is in trouble with the Western Hockey League, while Dean Crossland is in trouble with Tom Skinner and the Bobcats. Stay tuned, those stories and more coming up after the break.
Some women think scents and fragrances can help keep that clean feeling longer, even with their panty liners. But scents and fragrances just mask odor. New Always All Days actually help absorb odor. Always All Days are the only unscented liners with this unique odor-absorbing layer and new fresh weave covering that helps keep moisture and odor away from you. So instead of leading regular liners, try new odor-absorbing Always All Days and keep that clean feeling longer.
Here's a hint of what I want for Christmas. No. Hasn't it sunk in yet?
Oil of Olay Moisturizer, to help reduce the appearance of fine lines from the first time you use it. Isn't that what every woman wants for Christmas?
Happy holidays, our dear.
Purchase that exquisite diamond engagement ring from Zeke's, your diamond store. Save right now while selection is best and pay no taxes, no interest, and no payments for 6 months. This Christmas, shop Zeke's, where you get more Christmas for less. 9th and Rosser, Brandon, Nipawin, and Minnedosa.
Be happy, happy holidays, our dear.
I don't know what happened. I just lost control. It's just that I love you so much. I'll change. I swear I'll change. It won't happen again.
If any of this sounds familiar, chances are you're part of an abusive relationship. Get help.
Pulse Sports, brought to you by Source for Sports, across from the Keystone Center, 18th Street, Brandon.
And Sean's here for our first look at sports, and a couple of local hockey players in trouble off the ice.
Off the ice, they sure are, anyway. But Justin Kurtz may be in trouble with the Western League, and Dean Crossland may be in trouble with his Bobcat team. We'll find out in just a few minutes. But first, we'll get back to Sunday and the Wheat Kings and the PA Raiders. Work ethic is what makes the difference between some teams, and it certainly was the difference between the WHL champion Brandon Wheat Kings and the sub-500 Prince Albert Raiders. Chris Stewart's squad is a team of relative unknowns that just keep coming up big against teams that should walk all over them, but it's that never-say-die attitude from PA that swept the Wheat Kings this past weekend. No scoring on Sunday through the opening 20 minutes, and the Raiders' best chance comes courtesy of Shane Wills. He goes through Gerhard Unterluger, but he's turned away by Brian Elder on the ensuing rush. Les Borsheim is robbed by Evan Lindsay from the goal mouth. Late in the first, there's a skirmish in the corner. Garner Jacobson levels his man after the whistle, and then he and Jason Boyd go toe-to-toe. The Wheat Kings get a 5-minute power play, but they don't score. 12 minutes into the second, the Wheat Kings break the deadlock. Daniel Tetro's shot is redirected by Mark Dudium on the way through, and it's 1-0. But the Raiders come right back. Jason Nissel walks through a sleeping Wheat King defense. Then Marcos Afalo taps in his first of the season to tie the game at 1. Shane Willis scored seconds into the third to make it 2-1, and the Raiders go for the insurance marker, but Elder turns away both Willis and Russell Hogue. Hogue's empty netter, though, seals the 3-1 victory for the Raiders, who used the clutching and grabbing style to perfection in a 2-game weekend sweep of the Wheat Kings.
that's the way it's being called, and we got to do it the same way. It's you know, screening and that is part of the game. I think that you know, they battle hard and play defense. I'd like to be able to play defense. I wish our team played defense like that. So.
And the loss hurts even more after the Broncos escaped Spokane with a 2-1 win off of Brad Larson's game-winning goal. The Broncos lead the East now by 2 points. The other game on Sunday saw the Winterhawks extend their lead in the West as they double up on the Pats 6-3. Justin Kurtz missed the final period of yesterday's game, and he may miss a lot more after receiving a gross misconduct. The Viking defenseman has been suspended indefinitely by the league as they review an incident which took place at the end of the second period when Kurtz allegedly spit on referee Greg Johnson.
We got high-sticked at our blue line, and then the play proceeded in our end, so I went and hit a guy, and then the period ended. And I just went up to the ref to show him what had happened, and you know, when you get cut in the mouth, that's just reaction to be spitting the blood out, and I guess I got a little close to him, and I admit I hit him, but it was under the waist, it wasn't near his face, or I didn't do it intentionally.
He said he didn't mean to do it, and I believe him, but it did happen, and you can't be doing that to the officials, and it's all in the interpretation of the official. He doesn't know what the guy was thinking at the time, and because of that, he's going to be dealt with by the league, and probably because it's with an official, it won't be a lenient suspension.
Like many players, coaches often pay their dues in junior and in the minor leagues before moving on to the NHL. That's also the case for the new assistant coach for the Prince Albert Raiders. Mike Stackhouse has more.
The Prince Albert Raiders are icing a young, rebuilding team this season. Off the ice, their new assistant coach is also young. In his first season with the Raiders, after a successful stint with the Nipawin natives of the MJHL, is Don McGilvery.
I left Nipawin. My objective was to, you know, either get a full-time coaching job or not coach at all. And fortunately, at the time, I had been let go from Nestle with the downsizing, and you know, that created the opportunity for me to look a little bit harder at a full-time coaching job, and the one in PA came up, and it's been great ever since.
McGilvery earned a lot of respect as an MJHL head coach and also garnered contacts throughout the dub. And that's how he stumbled upon the Raiders job.
A couple of people that I know in the Western League let me know that there was a position there, and I threw my resume in there and went through the interview process, and you know, here I am.
As an assistant, McGilvery doesn't have much say as to decisions that result in on-ice plays. However, off the ice, he has a bit more responsibility than he did before.
Well, you're advising a little bit. You don't have a say on the bench or you know, a lot of the decisions. But I think what I've learned, I have to be a lot more organized at this level. There's a lot of things that have to be done as far as details on the road and things like that to make sure that everything is right for the team.
And McGilvery considers head coach Chris Stewart a great head coach to learn from. So he's going to bide his time and take a wait-and-see approach.
There's lots to learn, and I'm fortunate enough to be working with a guy who has a lot of experience and has won some championships, and I'm going to try to learn as much as I can from him, and hopefully, you know, if he decides to move on to bigger and better things, and you know, I might get the opportunity, but you have to be patient in this game, and that's what I'll do.
In Brandon, Mike Stackhouse, Pulse Sports.
As expected, Spokane will host the 1998 Memorial Cup. Spokane beat out Regina, Red Deer, and Portland for the honor. The announcement still has to be ratified by the CHL. Despite a split of games in Vancouver, which saw the Brandon Bobcats hockey team and a 9-game losing streak, head coach Tom Skinner has a new challenge on the table: what to do with his #1 goaltender Dean Crossland. Last Wednesday, Crossland and teammate Ryan Vermette dropped the gloves and fought during practice. Vermette apparently was upset with Crossland's practice habits. The result, Crossland injures his hand, and his future with the team is now in jeopardy. Skinner is reviewing the scrap and will decide if any disciplinary action should be taken. Those actions include the possible release of Crossland. Skinner says the disciplinary measures, if any, will be taken in the next 24 hours. So we'll find out within a day.
Great. What else is coming up on second half?
Not a great start for the BU Lady Bobcats. They opened up the GPAC season this past weekend in Regina, and we'll have results from that.
Great. Thanks, Sean.
Okay.
And don't go away. Coming up after the weather, everyone uses their eye teeth, but not literally.
We're keeping a close eye on the weather because it's going to be a milder week. Complete weather is up next.
Ho, ho. You got another one?
Leon's Ho Ho Hold the Payments event is going strong with fabulous values to brighten up every room in your home. And there's no payments and no interest until 1998.
Ho, ho, ho. A simple ho, ho, ho.
Leon's Ho Ho Hold the Payments. No matter how you say it, you don't want to miss it.
It's close.
It's fun for the money, two for the dough, three to get ready. Now go, scratch, go.
There's something about the Western, scratch and win bingo, and the classic fun of blackjack that makes them favorites.
Go, scratch, go.
They're easy to play and easy to win. They're not a lot of money, but they're sure a lot of fun.
Go, scratch, go.
So join in the winning.
Well, it's fun for the money. Now go.
Play your favorite scratch and win lottery games. Fun for the money.
At Crystal Opticians, we not only offer excellent eyewear, but the best in price, selection, and quality. Crystal Opticians, we care about eye care.
Buy a complete pair of glasses starting at $128 and receive a second pair absolutely free. Daily Wear Clear Soft Contacts. Buy 2 pair for only $98.
Crystal Opticians at 918 Rosser Avenue. The Crystal Clear choice.
Celebrate the holidays with the gift of music from Ted Good Music. They give you a unique solution to the problem of gift giving. Ted Good supplies you with the best in musical instruments, from strings and percussion to key and wind instruments. Music lessons are also available for those just beginning to play. Plus, select from a wide range of sheet music to fit every taste. This holiday season, give the gift of music from Ted Good Music, 747 10th Street.
Pulse Weather is brought to you by Fowler Pontiac Buick GMC Limited, 3900 Victoria Avenue West.
And Ron's here with the weather, and brr, it's cold today.
It's a damp day. That's why we have all that frost around this morning.
It was very beautiful.
It was very nice and very slippery in a few areas too. So as a result, be careful when you're driving this evening. We could see more of the same tonight, you know, because we are going to get some fog, and then we may get some snow as well. But milder temperatures are on the way, and that's
what I like to hear.
Current conditions in Brandon are as follows. We have minus 17 degrees. The wind is south-southeast at 6, and the humidity right now is at 90%. So it is cool, and it's very damp, as you can see, with those very high humidities. Normally, at this time of year, humidities are running at around, 35, 40%. But with that 90% humidity, you will see possibly some ice fog form overnight and in the early morning hours. So that's may restrict visibilities in a few areas. On our surface map, this is what we see right now. 2 lows, actually, one in Saskatchewan, the other on the elbow of the Alberta-British Columbia boundary, moving in a southeastern direction. And we have a lot of moist air moving up into Manitoba at this point in time. As a result, some fog in the forecast overnight. Precipitation, yes, there's an area of precipitation on the northeast shoulders of both these lows. They're going to track into a southeastern direction and pull that precip area into us overnight and for tomorrow. Variable cloud come Wednesday as the ridgeline starts to build in, as this whole system slides to the east, and we'll see a southerly flow start to develop. And with that southerly flow, milder temperatures. Variable cloud Wednesday and Thursday. Could be windy on Thursday, and then on Friday, unfortunately, another system moving by. 60% chance of snow, but temperatures on Friday could be up to -3. That's well above normal. Stats for today and the forecast and the outlook coming up momentarily. But first, here's your regional roundup.
try our best, you can't always avoid an accident. So if you do find yourself a victim of an accident, look to the experts at Fowler Pontiac Buick for all your auto body repairs. Fowler is a complete auto pack repair center for all makes of vehicles who can get rid of those painful reminders of a rather terrifying event. So if you do find yourself in the unfortunate position of needing some auto body repair, see Fowler Pontiac Buick first. What you drive is your business. Keeping it looking good is part of ours.
All righty, let's take a look at some of the vital statistics for today. And they are as follows. 10.6, the record high in 1925. Record low, minus 36.1, 1896. A normal high, minus 8, normal low, minus 18. And 1 year ago, minus 6.6 and minus 16.3 for the high and the low. Yesterday, we squeezed a minus 8.2 out of it. As a matter of fact, it was quite a nice day yesterday. Managed to get my Christmas lights up last night. I wasn't the first on the block, but at least I'm not the last. And the low, minus 17.7 this morning. We haven't seen that much variation in temperature today. And the sun rose at 8:17. It's set at 4:42. Alrighty, the forecast. For tonight, cloudy, fog patches, 60% chance of light snow, light easterly winds, and by tomorrow morning, cloudy, chance of snow, light wind, temperature minus 15. And considering the temperature right now, there will not be an overnight low established. Cloudy periods of snow tomorrow, no appreciable accumulations, light southeasterlies, about minus 8 degrees the high. And the outlook for Wednesday and Thursday, varying amounts of cloud. Temperatures at about minus 8 degrees on Wednesday, minus 4 Thursday, windy on Thursday, cloudy, 60% chance of snow on Friday, and a high of minus 3. And I'll take it. Actually, December looks as though it's going to be a lot better month than November, temperature-wise anyway. Say, you have yourselves a good evening, friends. Easy does it. And for now, that's the weather.
Pulse Weather has been brought to you by Fowler Pontiac Buick GMC Limited, 3900 Victoria Avenue West.
And up next, extending NATO into Eastern Europe.
Say hello to our new MTS
Real Plus Extra Savings Plan. And now you save up to 25%.
Not just on your top 3 numbers, on all your eligible long-distance calls, too.
Canada, the U.S., overseas.
Now you can save up to 25%.
On top of our usual time-of-day discounts.
If you were already on our Real Plus savings plan, you're in.
Automatically. If not, say hello
to bigger,
better.
MTS Real Plus Extra Savings.
More for your long-distance dollar.
This is a song about Walmart. Would you like to hear it? It's Christmas time at Walmart, a store for all your needs, and they have everything for you to put beneath your tree. From toys and clothes to anything that you may want to get, they have the lowest price around, and no one can beat them.
At Walmart, we know the holidays are still about making people happy.
Thank you.
Get your Christmas shopping done at CompuSmart Brandon. All with no down payments, no interest, and no payments OAC for 6 months. Choose from a wide selection of computers, printers, and complete hardware packages. Stuff a stocking with the latest software or a variety of great accessories. The best products, the best service, the best price. And anything in the store is yours with no down payments, no interest, and no payments OAC for 6 months with your CompuSmart card. Spend your Christmas at CompuSmart Brandon, where price is just the beginning.
This segment of Pulse News at 6 is sponsored by Bay's Equipment, your New Holland dealer in Nipawin, where you are the most important part of our business.
Well, so far, so good. Manitoba has been measles-free this year, and that means we're ahead of other provinces in Canada. Manitoba's medical health officer says the province had a major outbreak in 1986, but a vigorous vaccination program has all but eradicated the disease. A program introduced this year to vaccinate children against red measles has paid off, and health officials believe the disease could be wiped out by the end of the century. An eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth, so the saying goes. But how about a tooth for an eye? Ann McMillan has this report on the latest in medical miracles. It's a good story, but definitely not for the squeamish.
Here we are.
Bimji Varsani is making British medical history. After 3 failed cornea transplants, his tooth is being used to restore his sight.
I hope it will work okay. See?
Varsany's cornea, a transparent shield protecting the lens of the eye, was damaged by smallpox when he was 8. Without a cornea, it's impossible to see. Surgeons removed his tooth to support the artificial cornea because the body won't reject its own living tissue. The tooth was shaped into a thin plate, which will be fitted into the front of Varsany's eye. A hole was drilled to support a plastic lens, which will replace the damaged cornea. In stage 1 of the operation, the modified tooth was inserted into Varsany's cheek. It will be left there for 2 months to allow tissue to grow. In stage 2, doctors will stitch the tooth into place in Varsany's eye.
I think the operation has gone very well. We're a little bit exhausted, but we took extreme care with each step.
If the operation works, this is how the finished eye should look, complete with a painted contact lens. This is the first time this operation has been performed in Britain, but in Italy, 200 similar procedures had a 90% success rate. Mr. Varsany will have to wait several months to discover whether the pioneering surgery has worked. The first faces he hopes to see are his 2 young grandchildren who live in Canada. Anne McMillan, CBC News, London.
In Europe now, a summit is underway in Lisbon, Portugal, aimed at building a new security arrangement. NATO wants to expand into Eastern Europe, but Russia is warning that would create new dividing lines on the continent. More from Don Murray.
I formally declare...
Old arguments about NATO and a new bad boy in Europe dominated the first day of this OSCE summit.
So, is our friend Boris?
Boris Yeltsin, according to Russia's Prime Minister Viktor Chernomyrdin, in a private meeting with Prime Minister Chrétien, is recovering well from heart surgery, but is not at all happy about NATO's possible expansion to his country's borders. NATO's expansion would create new lines of division in Europe, Chernomyrdin repeated to the full summit.
NATO has been and remains a defensive alliance of like-minded democratic states. As such, of course, it poses no threat to any other state.
But U.S. Vice President Al Gore brushed the Russian concern aside, indeed rubbed salt in the wound, when he said NATO's expansion into Central Europe would help calm the region. The new bad boy was the president of Belarus, accused by many, including Canada, of hijacking democracy with a rigged referendum to prolong and reinforce his power. Alexander Lukashenko defiantly told the summit he would take lessons in democracy from no one. Intramural European quarrels left Jean Chrétien, at best, indifferent. His preferred and unexpected theme at this summit was the crisis in Zaire. He said such conflicts with civilian suffering were the challenge now for the OSCE and the international community.
Better ways must be found to ensure that the military resources of the international community are mobilized to alleviate the suffering of civilians in zones of conflict and instability.
Chrétien talked today of forming a new club of middle powers to react rapidly in the case of humanitarian crises. But he admitted that it was no more than an idea, and in a world already crowded with international organizations, an idea that may not become reality. Don Murray, CBC News, Lisbon.
And back in Canada, it looks like travelers are turning away from the Canadian Airlines because of its rocky condition. The airline says bookings for the first quarter of 1997 are down considerably over last year's numbers. Meanwhile, Canadian is asking permission from creditors to defer payments on $170 million worth of debts for the next 6 months. Its restructuring plans continue to be hampered by the refusal of Canadian auto workers to accept wage cuts. And there will soon be a new leader in Her Royal Majesty's opposition. The leader of the Bloc Québécois is calling it quits. Michel Gauthier had a tough act to follow following Lucien Bouchard. Now, just 9 months after stepping in, he's stepping down. Julie Van Dusen now on the changing of the guard on the opposition's bench.
Michel Gauthier called this emergency meeting. He said it would be a short one. Bloc MPs filed into the room not knowing what their leader would do. Some expressed their support.
I want to know. I'm coming here. I hope he'll stay. Because he's doing an excellent job.
He should stay.
Why?
Because he was elected by our party. He's a good leader.
It appeared Michel Gauthier's days were numbered with every passing poll. The last one placed the Bloc in a virtual tie with the federal Liberals. It found that more Quebecers knew who Reform leader Preston Manning was than Michel Gauthier.
It's a real problem. It's a real problem.
MP Réal Ménard said he wasn't the only one worried about the Bloc's electoral chances with Gauthier as chief. He said Gauthier faced pressure to decide whether to stay or go.
I think it's a deadline for Mr. Gauthier. I'm sure he is smart, he is clever, and he will evaluate by himself what is the situation, and I'm sure he will take all the decisions to help the sovereignty.
What was supposed to be a short meeting went on for nearly 4 hours, with Michel Gauthier announcing his decision to step down.
I had some problems with my leadership, and it is better for the Bloc to solve this problem. And the leadership campaign, it's at my point of view, the better way.
Quebec Premier Lucien Bouchard says that Gauthier's decision is a loss for the party. But by stepping down now, he gives his successor time to rebuild.
Of course, the election is not held today. I hear that it might be held in the springtime, so they have time to make sure that there will be a transition, that there will be a new leader elected by the militants, that there will be a new program, a new platform, and they will be fit for the ballot.
Michel Gauthier will continue to head the Bloc Québécois until the party's scheduled convention next March. That becomes a leadership convention, and Gauthier says he won't be a candidate. Julie Van Dusen, CBC News, Ottawa.
The Florida Panthers are #1 in the NHL, and one of the reasons why is Ed Jovanovski. Stay tuned. A story on the punishing defenseman after the break.
I kind of think that you got to just let a kid be a kid.
Bridget Jones and her mom, Barbara.
She gets a favorite outfit. She lives in it. You literally have to peel the clothes off of them sometimes.
Oshkosh recommended Tide with bleach. It helps get stains out and keeps cotton colors bright over time. On cottons, Tide with bleach outperforms the next leading detergent with bleach on a tough stain like this barbecue sauce, while it helps keep them looking bright even after 40 washes.
They weren't kidding.
If it's got to be clean, it's got to be Tide.
Good thing her little sister likes hand-me-downs.
You can tell which house has the Vicks Vapor Rub and which doesn't. Michelle had a bad cold. So did Sally. Michelle's mom gave her a liquid cold medicine. Sally's mom used Vicks Vapor Rub. It helps soothe her achy muscles while its medicated vapors relieve her stuffy nose and cough. And it has what Michelle's medicine doesn't. Vapor Rub lets Sally's mom add the soothing touch of her own hands. That's the comforting plus of Vicks Vapor Rub. It's the cold relief you want to come home to. Vicks Vapor Rub.
After the kind of day you put in, all you want to do is fall into a nice, comfortable easy chair in a quiet place. Of course, sooner or later, you'll have to go home.
Pulse Sports, brought to you by Source for Sports, across from the Keystone Center, 18th Street, Brandon.
And Sean's back with second half sports, and Westman remains a hotbed for curling.
Always has been, always will be, yes. Doug Armour's rink did very well in Winkler on Sunday, and well, all weekend, but Sunday was the big day for his rink. The provincial mixed curling title will spend the next year in the Westman. Doug Armour's rink from Surrey scored 2 in the 10th end to edge out Winnipeg's Chris Galbraith. Galbraith had a 3-under in the 6th to make things interesting, but it wasn't good enough. And Shauna Martin from Brandon is the Junior Women's District 6 champion after downing Jamie Sundell 14-5. Martin advances to the provincial playdowns, which will be held in East St. Paul from January 9th to the 12th. And here now are the results from the District 3 Golden Gals draw from this afternoon. The official start to the 1996-97 basketball season for the Lady Bobcats isn't one to remember. At the opening GPAC tournament in Regina, the Bobcats, who were without Sabina Sermova, came up empty during their 3 games. The final loss came Sunday afternoon against the host Cougars. 90-46 was the final. The Cougars were undefeated through their 3 games. Tarina Carrick, though, had a team-high 12 points on Sunday afternoon. The Houston Rockets are in Toronto tonight to take on the Raptors, but they will be without Hakeem Olajuwon. The Rockets center was released from hospital this morning after doctors shocked his heart back to a normal rhythm.
Hakeem Olajuwon was released from Houston's Methodist Hospital, where he was treated for an irregular heartbeat for the 2nd time in 12 days. As proof of his good health, the Dream stopped to sign an autograph for a fan and hug a close friend. Hakeem wants to reassure his fans that his heart problems are not life-threatening.
I'd like to thank them for their, for their concern and to let them know that I'm in good health, and hopefully God will have it back as soon as possible.
Hakeem felt his heart flutter during halftime of Saturday's game. Doctors say Hakeem suffers from a recurring irregular heartbeat.
No athlete's ever died from atrial fibrillation. It shouldn't affect his career, shouldn't affect his playing.
Like last time, doctors used shock treatment to correct Hakeem's heartbeat. Unlike the last episode, Hakeem also needed medication. Whether he will take medication in the future is still unclear. But doctors have warned the Rocket Center that this heart condition could flare up again. In Houston, Mary Bitten.
The Florida Panthers are the best team in hockey. Their toughness on the road is the envy of the league. They've only lost once while away from home. But for Ed Jovanovski, it's his toughness every single shift that has Panther fans smiling and opposing players cringing.
Jovanovski ties him up in the
Jovanovski gets lots of chances to fall flat in his face. But the Florida Panthers coaching staff also gives the 20-year-old defenseman every opportunity to succeed.
The point and pushed across to Jovanovski. Long shot, redirected.
Lindy Ruff has spent a lot of time with him and worked with him, and we continue to work with him every day, and because we want to make him a star. And he becomes that, then maybe I can ride his coattails for a few years.
It hasn't exactly been easy for Ed. Jovanovski is a tough name to forget.
Here we go. Point, they're going.
They're going to go. Look out. There's 2 boys that love to throw. And he gets lots of attention, like he did from Detroit's Martin Lapointe yesterday afternoon.
Well, that's just, something happened after the whistle. I mean, it's nothing to get too crazy about. I mean, it's part of the game, and, things happen.
Eddie's been nothing less than outstanding for us on most nights. He's the most physical defenseman in the NHL. He's starting to really jump offensively. He's coming through the neutral zone with great speed and creating lots for us. His defensive play continues to improve. He's got a chance to be one of the great defensemen in the NHL.
Jovanovski has made his name with toughness. He's trying to perpetuate it with an expanding resume of hockey skills.
I'm learning a lot more, and, I feel more confident at times. And, I think, just being around the guys more and in my 2nd year makes me feel that much more comfortable and to experience more things.
2 months into his 2nd NHL season, and the sophomore jinx hasn't bitten Jovanovski yet. In fact, the big Florida Panthers defenseman is a black cat waiting to cross someone else's path. Scott Scantlebury, CBC Sports, Detroit.
And Randine, that will do it for a look at sports for today.
Great. So did you ever write a letter to Santa Claus when you were a kid?
Of course.
Or recently?
Of course.
Yeah?
Yes.
And you ever get a reply back?
Once. Only once. I don't know why, but only once.
Did you get what you wanted that year?
I don't remember. That was grade 2.
Oh, okay. Well, coming up after the break, we'll find out who reads Santa Claus's letters when he's too busy.
Reese's Jewelry has the perfect Christmas gift for your special someone. She'll love this 7-diamond engagement ring for just $4.99 or $49.90 per month for 10 months interest-free. Surprise her with this lovely 7-diamond engagement ring, only $8.99 or $89.90 per month interest-free for 10 months. Or choose this beautiful 3-diamond engagement ring, now $16.99 or $169.90 per month for 10 months interest-free. And Reese's has a special gift for you. Pay no GST or PST. This Christmas, it's Reese's Jewelry with 2 locations in Brandon.
magical news swiftly spread. Disney's new movie 101 Dalmatians is now in theaters, and people came from all over to celebrate at McDonald's. Never before had McDonald's offered 101 adorably different Happy Meal toys. A surprise puppy toy with each $2.99 hamburger Happy Meal you buy. Families everywhere treated their little ones, or themselves. The fun's unleashed at McDonald's, your Dalmatian location.
If you've started a winter activity and have aches and pains in muscles that you didn't even know you had, then make sure you tune in tomorrow to Daybreak. We'll give you some tips on how you can loosen up.
And finally tonight, since May, Manitoba kids, cats, and adults have been sending letters to Santa asking for that special gift. Now that's a lot of letters, and St. Nick can't read all of them at once. That's why Canada Post is lending a hand. Darcy Modine has more.
Santa's workshop is full of letters this time of year. Unfortunately, St. Nick can't be everywhere at once. That's where the elves at Canada Post come in to help.
In Manitoba, we have over 300 volunteers that help Santa answer letters.
So how many letters do you get a year?
In Winnipeg alone, we get about over 33,000, and nationally, over 1 million letters are answered every year.
This one is from a cat.
Yes, it says, I am 4 years old and I've been a very, very, very good cat this year. I am a lot more friendly this year and have tried really hard not to bite or get into too much mischief. But after all, I am a cat. Oh, this is a funny one. It's kind of cute. She writes to Santa to tell her about her boyfriend. And we've received letters from Santa requesting a husband or, you know, the woman of their dreams. And so that's kind of cute, yeah.
For Christmas, I want a car, nothing else. I've been really good. From Jeff. P.S. Some gas and oil for the car would be good. Now, does that look like that person is old enough to drive?
No.
But McEwen says more kids are asking for world peace or for help for sick relatives or friends than for toys. And writing letters to Santa also serves an educational purpose.
Well, if a child writes a letter, it helps them practice their writing skills and grammar skills. And I think that the use of the postal code and correct addressing is very important to make sure that mail is received, you know, where it's supposed to go.
Now, if you or your cat would like to write a letter to Santa Claus, the address is Santa Claus at the North Pole, Canada, and the postal code is, of course, ho, ho, ho. Now, Santa's not as young as he used to be, and he might not remember your address. So it's important to include a return address on the back or the front, or you may not get a reply. In Winnipeg, Darcy Modine, Pulse News.
I wonder if Santa's on the internet yet.
You know, probably.
I gotta do a search on that.
Yeah,
just to see.
That's right. Same postal code,
right.
HOHOHO.
Yeah, see what happens there.
Yeah.
Not
Otherwise.
bad. Yeah, not bad for the next couple of days. Maybe some snow tonight. Here's the forecast once again in detail for western Manitoba. Cloudy, fog patches tonight, 60% chance of light snow, light easterly winds, and by breakfast time, cloudy, temperatures of about -15, maybe a little bit of snow around. Watch the roads tomorrow morning. Light wind. Cloudy skies, periods of snow tomorrow. Precipitation amounts maybe 2 to 4 centimeters max. Light southeasterly winds and a daytime high of -8 degrees. About -8 on Wednesday. Thursday, -4 with variable cloud and windy. And on Friday, cloudy, maybe a flurry or two, and -3. Yes.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
That's great.
Chinook.
Is that what they're called?
That's what they are, yes.
How long is that going to last for?
Don't ask.
Okay. For weeks and weeks and weeks, I think.
Hopefully, yes. Wouldn't that be nice?
That would be great. That would be super. And that's it for us. We're all out of time. Hope you have a great evening. We'll see you back here tomorrow. Good night.
Bye.